And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Grand Finals, those Grand Finales here of the RSL Revival StarCraft League Season 4 2026 Playoffs, day number 7. We are here. We've made it to the final series of the broadcast. We've had some very fast initial series here, making it to this Grand Finals, and we'll see if we can sink our teeth a little bit more into the best of 7. Or if it ends once again in a faster scoreline. Let's go. Let's find out. Rogue has been on a tear, by the way. Rogue, he tore through Cure, he tore through Maru with some hyper aggression. We saw a lot of all-ins, we saw a lot of aggressive builds, we saw a lot of cheeky shenanigans as well, hiding certain builds, hiding his lair, hiding his spire, hiding Roach Warrens as well, and catching both Cure and Maru with their pants down. The pants were down. Rogue, he was able to pop up. But we'll see. We'll see how Rogue does handle himself in the Grand Finals. Now, what I will say is that typically, in ZVP, it's much more difficult to be the aggressing player. There are still things you can do. There are still certain all-ins on certain maps that are quite effective. And also, mutaplay is another big factor that you have to consider. That is true. But for the most part here, personally, I'm going to be favoring MaxPax coming into this series, but we'll see if Rogue can do it again. I'm reminded of a Rogue series versus Hero, for example, where Hero was hyper aggressive and Hero was punished for that aggression time and time again. I'm still thinking about game 1 between Hero versus Rogue earlier in the tournament. Meanwhile, MaxPax is not that kind of aggressing player. He is much more defensive, much more macro oriented. I do think that this is going to be a big challenge here stylistically for Rogue. We'll see if he can pull it off. We shall see, as our players have had time to prepare, time to rest up, and time to get ready for their builds, for their matches, for their eventual finals. Oh boy. Now, the way this works here, because Rogue is coming in from the lower bracket, it does mean that Rogue has to win 2 series. He has to win the initial best of 7 and then win a best of 3. If he wants to be our champion, he has to win 2 series back to back. Because MaxPax is coming in from the upper bracket, MaxPax, he just needs to win 1 best of 7. 1 best of 7, and that is all that MaxPax does need. Just 1 series. I say best of 7, whether it goes into all the way to the Super Ace match or that best of 3, you would have to win that one as well, of course, if Rogue wins the first series. But there's a lot of pressure on Rogue, and we'll see if he can bring it back. Also, fatigue is a factor as well, right? We've had 2 series already here tonight, so, you know, the fatigue does start to settle in for Rogue. We'll see if he can... I mean, that's why we had an extended break as well, just so we could rest, recover, recuperate, get some water, get some food, get fueled up, and ready to go. Oh boy.
From all of these tournaments, you can vote on maps and players.
Of course, if you want to support this event, you can do so via the command !RSL in the chat. So there is a Patreon. There's a Patreon for the RSL, so you can support them via the Patreon. Likewise, shout out to Archon Studios. They are the main sponsor for this season, for this event. Of course, they are bringing together the StarCraft miniatures game. It is on the horizon. Pre-orders are currently available, and they also were able to showcase some of the models in some of the content they prepared for the breaks. They did prepare some of that, so that is available. I'm sure that's going to be uploaded to the YouTube channel momentarily as well after the season does conclude. Otherwise, we're getting ready for those finals. Check us out on YouTube as well. True, we're streaming on YouTube, we're streaming on Twitch. Our VODs are available on YouTube immediately right after the stream, of course, are available.
The finals.
Oh.
All right, guys, this is it. A best
we're starting.
of 7, and if Rogue wins,
we're just,
another best of 3.
We're not showing the vetoes? We're just jumping right in. The hell?
Of the RSL.
What's the map order?
Rogue here in the bottom right, and MaxPax here in the bottom left. Or top left. Start it over. Start the finals over.
There we go. Sporting in the bottom right-hand corner, we do have Rogue. In the top left, we have MaxPax for Storm Gaming. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is? It is Gamba time. Predictions. Predictions are now available in the Twitch chat, so you can place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat as we jump into our initial best of 7. Game 1. Let's go.
Oh my god. Alright, well, anyways, let's get into this one. Of course, a PvZ, first one of the day. First time we're getting a Protoss. We've had a lot of TvZs, so a nice refreshing look, of course, getting some Protoss. And so it's going to be likely from MaxPax, a lot of super standard stuff. He loves to bring in just normal Stargate play, going into the normal mid-game stuff. Rogue, on the other hand, of course, we all know, loves to go over some shenanigans, loves to throw in some proxy hatches, loves to go for some early all-ins, likes to go for even super long macro games as well. So you never really know what to get when you're looking at Rogue's game. So very curious to see what they're going to be bringing here.
Delayed gas.
It's been TvZ all night here. as we watch Rogue navigate the losers bracket. And I gotta say, this guy brought more ideas in a day of ZVTs than you'll see sometimes in an entire tournament.
Yeah, absolutely insane.
I mean, it's crazy. But the question is, how's he gonna do here now? You know, in this matchup.
Yeah.
And this has been probably one of the more controversial matchups here in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you got to totally switch up your mindset now coming off of all those TVZs. And now, I mean, he has looked pretty decent in the PvZ as well overall this tournament. The only time faltering to Trigger, interestingly enough, of all the players, I feel like Trigger, maybe he's a great player, but still kind of an up-and-coming talent, essentially, whereas he just
Trigger is the NA
dispatched
MaxPax
Hero very easily. And he also beat MaxPax in the group stage already, like we had mentioned. So Rogue will be, of course, looking back at that series, MaxPax as well, taking ideas, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't work. And
so if you're out there, if you watch the group stage of RSL, I'd love to know what happens. For those who are unaware, we have been co-streaming the playoffs, but we did not co-stream the group stage. So I don't know how Rogue beat MaxPax in the group stage. Just to once again reiterate, when it comes to Rogue's preferred style and how he was able to bring down Hero was overly aggressive. He was overly aggressive and he was punished and shut down time and time again. If you remember, game one was on this very map. Hero was ahead. He was committing with pressure, and then Rogue went for a big lane counterattack. Rogue was in trouble. Rogue was losing workers, losing lings, losing bases. Rogue was on the back foot, went for a big lane run by. The wall was not a wall. It's Hero. So the natural base was open. Lings are going into the main. They go into the natural. They go into the third base. They crippled Hero's economy. They forced him all in, and Hero was just shut down. And that was kind of setting the tone for the entire series, was Hero being punished for his aggression. But MaxPax is not that much of an aggressive player. He's much more defensive, so I do favor Missing You Today for MaxPax. Missing You Today is a larger map of the map pool, longer rush distance by ground. Now, there is a lot of distance between the bases. That is true. There's a lot of distance between the expansions, and there's a gold base as well. So if the game slows down, Rogue can take the gold bases and have a boosted economy coming into the late game. We'll see if Rogue wants to go for the late game. We'll see if he goes into something different like Muta play or earlier tech.
We've also had a lot of kind of slow cooking where, you know, you kind of play defensively and then tech in the air, and it's just sort of hard.
Also, very quickly, Happy Easter, Pappy. Happy Easter. True. I forgot completely. I can hear some fireworks outside, and I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, what? It's not New Year's. Like, I'm like, oh, it's Easter. True. Happy Easter, everyone.
Coupling them up
Easter Sunday
as well to deny that harassment, making sure he doesn't just lose a bunch of
fireworks are popping up.
You cannot let that double adept to freely shade into your mineral lines. They will one-shot your drones, and of course, you're going to have a really bad time in the early game if that's the case.
Early Twilight Council. Early Council. Extra gateways.
But at least for MaxPax, he's able to clear some
hopefully the cast is realized soon. But MaxPax is being hyper-aggressive. Is this Glaives? Is he going to Glaive it up early on?
Okay.
No forge, no +1.
Adepts are going to try to shade.
Show us the Glaives.
Rogue's defense has been pretty solid.
This could be early Blink, but with the gateway count, I'm leaning more towards Glaive Adepts. We'll see. Is it Blink or Glaives?
Like this, you got to be careful. It's hard for the Adepts to get back out, but you know the balancing act here from MaxPax has been pretty perfect.
There it is, Glaive Adepts.
You know, he's going to actually...
Again, this has been telegraphed pretty early on.
He's going to shade over into the natural, and he's going to get some drones.
And Rogue currently has no idea.
Get what, maybe 4 or 5? Yeah, 4 is pretty good. That pays for the Adepts.
That's very good. It's very rare that you actually sacrifice.
They still haven't noticed.
If you are going to be going into a Glaive follow-up, because you just want to keep as many Adepts alive as possible for the eventual next step, which is a larger attack with the Glaive upgrade finished. So this could do 2 things here. One, it could actually bait Rogue into thinking it's not going to be a Glaive follow-up because MaxPax was so willing to suicide those 2 Adepts. But it's also going to give MaxPax an extra advantage because he got so many drones. You don't expect to usually get that many drones that early with the double Adept. So a very nice job there from him. And he will be able to come out later with some more. Even just now, coming in with 3 random Adepts, just get a couple more drones on the transfer as well. This is starting to look very nice for MaxPax.
Now, the scary thing for Rogue is that Rogue is going +1 at melee. He went Eva Chamber into +1 melee into Ling Hydra, which means 2 things. No Bailey Nest, no Roach Warren. Rogue, he is not ready for these Adepts. They can trade very well here as he moves out across the map. And now he knows.
How do you do that? Okay, so he does see
He's
this.
walling.
That tips the alarm. And the question is, how is Rogue going to be ready for this? Now, I think Rogue's really good at movement and kind of stalking the Adepts and shading.
Oh, he gets in!
No! He said that, and then he's just like, well,
He shades in. The boys are being pulled.
Usually you have like an evolution chamber that's blocking that, but he had a spore, I think, making over there.
Yeah, he was trying to move it because it was coming from the natural. It wasn't quite there in time, so the Adepts do get in. 7 drones already getting killed off, and there's more where that came from.
No, shades into the natural. And this is critical damage, by the way. This is critical damage.
Killed off as more are even falling as they're just being pulled to kill the Adepts, as there's no more Lings alive. The Queen's frantically trying to go between the 2 bases. This is why you
19 drone kills
early as well, so to make it harder for the Zerg to.
And remember, Rogue never scouted. He never scouted. He never saw the main. It didn't confirm.
20 drones getting killed off in this early game. That is a massive move from MaxPax.
And to be fair, we were expecting more defensive play at MaxPax, so seeing the 4-gate Glaive Adepts did catch us off guard. It caught Rogue off guard, and now Rogue is going to be forced to either go all in or try to recover. Rogue is heavily behind.
Exactly. Good tagging on the Lings. And, you know, he's going to see this is here, but the Lings are kind of in the wrong spot. He's going to loop back around. This should give MaxPax ample time to kind of come up here and try to defend. A lot of times when you have Oracle Adept to defend a base, you kind of wedge stuff in between pylons and batteries and nexuses.
Looks like MaxPax is very well defended for now. The Oracles, of course, tracking those Lings very well. We'll make sure that they don't get in and get into any difficult locations.
So MaxPax, he's ahead. He can just chill. Oh no, he's getting even more damage done. No, he's already ahead. He finds more damage.
Still on the right. They were not in position.
2 more drones, nice mining.
MaxPax knew this with the revelations on the Lings. He's able to go for these Adepts. A nice reaction overall, though, from Rogue, as he doesn't actually lose too many drones to those 4 Adepts. So a pretty nice response.
It's a nice response. It's still more damage, though. It's still denied mining, still 2 more drone kills. MaxPax is still looking very comfortable. Now, Rogue is hoping for MaxPax to make mistakes. That's kind of like the next... That's the hope here.
The Adepts got in there. They hobbled the Zerg a decent amount. Mapu's actually showing us that only one of the Evo chambers was upgraded.
Now remember, you might be looking at this, and what do we say on this channel? The soup lies, Bappy. Right now the supplies are very close. That means it is awful for the Zerg. The Zerg player needs to be ahead in supply to be even with the Protoss. To see an even army supply here means that the Zerg player is struggling.
Yeah, no, that was...
because he made one extra to try to block the Adepts earlier.
Yeah.
So the soup is lying to you.
He's actually getting...
and here comes MaxPax.
Sick. Well, what else is sick? Is this
split army, only 1 Archon on the right hand side, but GG!
Best play-by-play by us.
1-1-1.
How do you like that, guys?
Yeah, right.
We're trying to figure out how many Evo chambers there are fight the game. Oh no!
We're destroying everything.
Oh man!
It's a disaster.
Whew. Okay.
Well, 1-1-1. Get owned,
Yeah.
Rogue.
1-1-1. More like 1-0. Protoss is gonna win that one.
Hey.
GG, well played. But yes, with that, MaxPax does take a lead in the series, winding it back when it comes to the game itself. Remember, MaxPax, he went into early Glaive Adepts. The Twilight Council was thrown down as the 3rd base was thrown down, so really early Twilight Council into the Gateway Explosion. Rogue did not go into the main base with his Overlord. He did not scout. He didn't realize what was going on. What was Rogue doing? Rogue was going into +1 Evo Chamber. So he was going into the early Evo Chamber into +1 melee. Rogue was going Ling Hydra. He was setting up for Ling Hydra. That's why there were no Roaches. That's why there were no Banelings. Rogue was playing standard, and he was caught with his pants down. He was caught with his pants down. The Depths across the map, they killed 20 drones. That was game-ending damage. The game did last a little bit longer from that, but the game was kind of over then and there. We saw that Rogue tried to drone up from that point, but he was so far behind. As you mentioned, we saw MaxPax moving out, 130 supply versus 130 supply. As you mentioned, that's a big lead for MaxPax. Just A moves across the map. GG. GG, well played. And with that, we're now getting into game number 2. And what I'm most excited about is that we expected, and Rogue expected as well, more standard play out of MaxPax, right? That is the expectation for MaxPax. So really cool to see MaxPax go into early Adepts to be able to kind of shake up the perception of MaxPax coming into the series. He's saying like, hey, I'm not going to take this lying down. I'm not just going to be the reactive player. I'm going to be aggressive if you let me. So you can't just be greedy. You cannot be greedy against me. You cannot play standard or just avoid scouting against me. You need to actually scout. You need to respect MaxPax because he's willing to be aggressive as well.
Let's see what kind of game these guys are going to give us.
So game 1 was like a big statement, to be honest.
MaxPax sent a probe out very early here. This is usually to try to block the hatchery.
And you can see Rogue is already kind of just expecting.
He was like, hey, I might not be hero, but I'm also not Showtime. True. Oh, the hatch block.
That's what I'm talking about,
That's
Rogue.
why it's just like what we said in our analysis over there. I'm like, well, he could just cheese and not play for real.
Bearing in mind that this is not an all-in, so the casters are freaking out right now. They're like, yeah, let's go. This is a hatch block. This is not an all-in. This is designed to delay. This is not... Oh, actually... It's outside of the natural. Okay. This can be more aggressive.
Yeah, Rogue has been bringing this
If the hatchery was in the natural itself, then it's more of a macro build. But now that it's outside of the natural base, we can turn this into an all-in.
Oh, that's a nice little poke there from MaxPax to see where that drone went, because he saw it over there and he didn't actually see a hatchery, and that's gonna immediately trigger.
So
the
it looks like
alarm
it's gonna
bells
be
for
hatch gas
MaxPax.
pool.
Obviously, if he send that drone all
How are we
the way,
gonna
that
make use of the
should be
hatchery
really
though?
making. So he's gonna go
That's what
right
I'm
now,
curious
seeing
about.
the,
Because there's a
the
late
gas
spawning
pool
pool.
timing, realizing that that's not super early either. So something is weird. Something is afoot. He needs to find where that hatchery is actually being built.
Yeah, there's only so much information the probe can see, so you're trying to deduce what's happening.
He finds
so
it.
he does do the check. I feel like especially on this map, you just should always check outside there if you don't see a hatchery immediately. Because
So gate expanded to
with the
Cybercore.
way Zerg develops, there's never a game where you're like, oh, he just didn't have a hatchery and the pool was at a normal time. You know what I mean? It's that money has to go somewhere, right?
Doesn't block. But like,
So
this is why
how exactly?
I'm a little bit perplexed, because I don't really see Rogue being too aggressive with this. There's a defensive forge for defensive cannons. We'll see how hard Rogue commits. If he like, I don't know, goes for like a spine rush, or if he makes extra lings, or if he just drones back at home. I'm curious like what the plan is for Rogue.
Particularly with the cybernetic score in the front here, if you could,
Because there's no like
roach
Roach all in. Yeah, he's just droning. Yeah,
They
he's just
don't
droning.
have any tech at all. And so I think this is going to be queens and spine crawlers coming out now.
Yeah, we'll see where those drones are actually being made. It looks like one of them is at the front,
Okay.
so yes, that could be a spine
So
crawler.
it is a
being
spine
made
crawler?
right there. Interestingly, Sentry first is the choice from MaxPax. I'm very curious on how he's going to be going about this defense. Usually, you'll see some players go like what he's doing with the fast forward, so you can get shield batteries and cannons up at the same time. And then
Second
you
drone
can
is being
transition
proxied. That's
get
going to be a
lot of
second
gateway
spine crawler.
to complement that. And then you kind of push forward a little bit to try and combat the hatchery, but this time he's just totally walling himself in and just playing very passively with that sentry first, which I'm just kind of waiting to see what he actually wants to do with that. I mean, force fields, I guess, could deny the lings from trying to get damage, but then you have to deal with the spine crawler, so his tech is going to be really late to deal with that because, of course, the gas income, or using all that gas for the sentry is a bit rough. Also leaving the stalker on the outside.
This is not a mistake, right?
I question it.
Yeah,
I mean,
Stalker's like, I think it is tasteless. Let me
back
in, please.
oh no!
Because he had like a.
I mean, good
It
damage.
looked almost like it was rallied somewhere else. I don't
So
know.
the queen just injected, right? The queen just injected, so there's no transfuse. The spine might just go down.
Heal it on up. He could always recharge this battery as well to give it an extra little bit of staying power.
Yeah.
And there he does go.
He
So
just kills the spine.
I guess this is a calculated way
One more.
to deal
He
with the
gets it.
spine crawler. We'll just kill that off. We'll kill off the
Wow.
queen as
Kills a
well.
queen?
And then has the sentry to throw a hallucination.
Oh, he's crazy.
Watch, mining the right-hand side.
He's
He didn't get a grasp of this at
crazy.
all. Gets a force field on the lings as well before they're able to
The
mine out the
force
last mineral
field.
patch.
Wait.
Those drones are stuck. The lings as well. And Albert, this whole
He
plan from Rogue is
rewalls.
completely butchered.
Oh my god. Okay, so he did mine it out. He just can't get through now. Does
He's
Rogue
trying.
just leave the game? I mean,
He has no service area.
this is about as catastrophic of a game as you could imagine. The Lings are going to be hitting so hard here, but I mean,
The
think of how much
Oracle
time was being
arrives.
bought. Oh my god.
He's
going
gonna
to
be
make
able
some
to
more
re-wall.
pylons.
He's actually not got enough minerals
He's
to
gonna
be able to
break
make
through.
enough, so the Lings will get
Keep
in.
us
They will
in.
get into the main base, kill off a few more pylons. The recharge comes in at the last second there, and now probes are getting killed off in the main base. That
Nice boy
orbital
pool.
is the only thing that's going to be keeping MaxPax alive at this point until he can get a few more units out.
He's going to unpower this pylon.
Oh, he's going for the
Oracle is
pylon.
gonna
He
be
gets
denied.
it. Just barely in
And,
time.
There is just,
Whew.
you know, again, there's no way to really stop the Lings from coming unless he plugs that back up. Oh, speaking of which, he's going to make 2 pylons over here at the entrance. But they're going to get the probe.
They
gets
will
the
be able to
probe.
get back in, but there's still a lot of units on the ground. There's a couple cannons also, so he still has the ability to
I mean, there's
go
still
back
the
to
battery
those
at the
cannons.
natural.
So the
Yeah, there's
Lings
still
will
2
be able to
batteries in a
recharge
cannon.
At the natural, he might just have to forfeit the main, but if this second Oracle can get out, which it looks like it will, as the pylon was remade, another probe stayed up in the main
Wow,
base. That
repowers the
Oracle will get
Stargate.
out, and he's going to be
Second
able to
Oracle.
keep his main base alive.
MaxPax holds. MaxPax, he holds on with the second Oracle. Big move.
The link count is getting lower. Right now, Rogue at 22.
Back to mining.
Workers to the 34 here of MaxPax.
The all-in has failed.
The all-in it's plugged back up, right?
I believe so,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, so the pylons are finishing.
So the all-in has failed. Rogue is down in workers. Rogue is down in tech. Rogue has 22 drones to the 36 drones of MaxPax. This was not good enough. This was not good enough. MaxPax, he lost 2 probes. He lost 2 workers. Here comes the Oracle counterattack. Rogue is in trouble.
Oracle harassing a base right in front of his own natural.
It's pretty nice when the base is right there. It comes to you.
Oh
my God!
Oh, he
What?
gets in again. Okay, nice force field though. That would have been.
We thought he
a bit
rewalled.
crazy if all of those lings did get up, as there's only a few units in the main base. But luckily, we'll be able to keep most of them
Gets
out.
us around.
Again, it's very difficult for Rogue to actually attack into the
That's
natural
something.
because there's all of those cannons and batteries there. So.
And
we'll
it
just
looks
have
like
to run
Rogue isn't
away
droning.
at this point.
So Rogue, he knows that he's too far behind to macro out of this, so Rogue is going for a second all-in. Roach 1 just finished. Roach 1 just finished, he's going for a Ravager all-in instead. Ling Ravager.
MaxPax is definitely going to be able to stabilize very nicely and should be able to set himself up for a nice counter push. As Rogue is actually even making roaches, he might just go for a straight up all-in, realizing that he's got no hope for a macro game.
Yeah, well, I think this is definitely not a game where you go, all right, I'm going to go back and tech. Let's get a layer now, you know. So he's going to go for those roaches. I don't think there's many more phases or layers to this game for Zerg beyond this.
Oof. Yeah.
You know, I mean, Zerg, it's crazy. They can, like, do, like...
As we mentioned, like, Rogue, he cannot macro out of this. He cannot drone. He's got roaches on the way. He's got Ravagers morphing in. He's getting ready for a secondary all-in.
Looking pretty bad. 7 drones getting killed off by that one Oracle as well. So this is just confirming
that defensive setup is brutal, though.
POV that there is a total all-in coming. Sees the Ravagers and Queens at the front as well. This is going to be so difficult for Rogue to actually break through. I believe actually there's only one gateway right now. The other ones are actually morphing, so there's going to be this small moment. Oh no, actually 3 of them are finished, so never mind. There's plenty of production already made here by MaxPax, so that window that I was about to talk about, not even existent at this point. This is looking like it's going to be very, very difficult for Rogue to bust on through.
Yeah, he is trying to break down this cannon. Nice
doesn't get the
force fields.
Stalkers.
Gets some of the
he gets
links
one.
stuck over here. It's actually allowing them to do a decent amount of damage.
Gets one
All the
Stalker, takes down the
batteries
cannon.
are, depleted. Now, hold on a second. MaxPax could still fall apart here. He's going to take the Adepts that were over onto the side defending and basically bring him down here. That last cannon finally falls. But, you know, it seems like there's just more
He's going for the
Protoss on this side
Forge.
of the map than there is Zerg.
Trying to deny
Cyberx
+1.
hasn't fallen.
Will deny
Forge
it.
will
Okay.
go down, so +1 ground weapons is denied.
Yeah, but this is just getting worse and worse for Rogue the longer this goes. He needs
Charge is almost done. Yeah, GG. GG. No final fight. MaxPax defends.
With a 2-0 lead.
He's halfway there, looking very good. Really, really catastrophic early game there from Rogue. Interesting to see the sentry on the outside. I know we were both kind of joking about that, but as it played out, it actually seemed pretty good. And then when the Queen went down, the spine crawler went down. I thought, okay, well, this is done. Suddenly, we see that the side is being mined out.
Yeah, that was all a distraction. He was like, oh, look at the spine crawler.
That was a
Queen
distraction
at the
for the casters as well.
We did not notice that at all. We were way too focused on
I mean, it was a fun build. It was a really fun build from Rogue, and a lesser player would have died, but MaxPax, he had eyes on the wall, right? Sorry, on the ramp, on the mineral wall. So MaxPax, he was able to force field, able to buy enough time to re-wall. Lings, they did flood into the main base, but they killed 2 probes. They did not do any damage. I say they did no damage. They killed 2 workers, and they went it back. They killed 2 workers, and they depowered the Stargate, so that gave Rogue a chance. But the Stargate got repowered. And the moment that it got repowered, it was like, okay, now we have 2 Oracles, now MaxPax defends. Before that moment, there was a chance that maybe Rogue kills the main. Maybe Rogue is able to kill the main base and keep MaxPax on a 1-base setup, and then you can drone. But we saw that the Stargate got repowered, a second Oracle arrived, Lings got forced out, and then MaxPax defended with a massive economic lead. And then GG. Then GG well played. With that, it looks like we are cutting to a break. Again, we are halfway through the series. I say halfway, potentially halfway. You know, MaxPax, he needs 4 games to win, and he's already won 2. He needs 2 more. This is where the pressure's on Rogue. Fun fact, by the way, I was coming into this series expecting some longer games, potentially, but to experience MaxPax going for Glaive Adepts in game 1 and kind of setting the pace here, it means that, again, MaxPax is willing to be aggressive, willing to go all in, and yeah, this might just be a short finals. We'll see. I hope it isn't. I hope we get some longer games. I hope we get a back and forth. Meanwhile, enjoy Tasteless and Ziggy painting Zeratul. Give us the painting stream, baby. Painting stream. Let's go.
We've got the Zeratul miniature, the very first one that we got sent by Arkan Studio from the StarCraft Tabletop Miniatures game.
I gotta say, it's crazy. We have the primer on Zeratul right now, and that's going to allow the paint to stick on here. We've got, how many different colors are we going to use?
Oh, I got a bunch. Got some purples, got some greens. I'm gonna try and paint him sort of like he's on the box art. We're gonna start with the airbrush, put some purple on him just as a base, and then work from there with the with the brushes and yeah, see what happens.
Let's do it.
Let's do
Let's
it?
do it.
Okay.
Is Ziggy just gonna paint the entire thing for tasteless? Is that what's gonna happen? Like, clearly, like, I know that he has like some experience with Warhammer, so Ziggy, he knows what he's doing. He's painted many a Warhammer figurine. Este Ziggy. See, the real content would be making tasteless do this, because we all, because that's content. That's. Like, we're taking the fun out of it. We're getting a professional in here. Yeah. Okay,
we're back. I'm checking in on Ziggy's progress again. How are we doing?
We're doing great. I think it's coming along better than I thought it would. I don't know what you think, but I'm kind of proud of this.
It looks good.
Yeah.
I love what you did with the lighting here on the cape and everything. I think you did an incredible job. We're near completion here. Also, Archon Studios
I love the lighting.
sent us some miniatures of their own they painted. If you want to see what their models look like, take a look.
Did we, what just happened? Did we really not get a close up on Ziggy's model? Like Ziggy's like, I'm proud of this, and Taze is like, yeah, it's pretty good. We did not close up on it. What? we didn't get to see like a proper like close up of what he painted. But again, the real content would have been a side-to-side comparison of Ziggy's painting of his painted miniature and Tasteless's painted miniature. That's what I wanted out of this. Anyway, we come to a break. We'll see you soon. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Ooh, we have returned here with the grand finals here of the RSL Rival StarCraft League Season 4 Playoffs Day number 7. We're here in the grand finals, and currently MaxPax is up 2-0. He's up 2-0. He is up leading the series, and it's a best of 7, so first to 4. First to 4 will win. I'm hoping we get a back and forth. I want to see Rogue take some maps and make a series out of this, but the pressure is very much so on Rogue. Game 1, MaxPax was hyper aggressive, going into Glaive Adepts, going into the Twilight Council before the third base, or I should say as the third was being taken, caught Rogue with his pants down. Game 2, Rogue went for an all-in on 10,000 feet, but we saw that MaxPax was able to scout, able to shut it down. Really strong reaction there by MaxPax. Really nice crisis management as well, considering the Lings did flood into the bases, but MaxPax minimized losses. And now we're loading the game number 3. Let's go.
What is, in my opinion, one of the best Protoss maps in the pool.
True.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I just, when I think about MaxPax, the kind of standout attribute of him is his defense. I think he's such a good defensive Protoss.
He is.
So I would maybe like to see Rogue try a few less cheeses, which sounds weird to say because he's been doing so well with them. But it feels like MaxPax has the response to everything. And I was so impressed by Rogue's kind of mid and late game strategies against Hero when he took him out 3-0. Like we saw him do that mass Ling style on low gas into Ultras eventually with Banelins. I'd love to see something like that. Right now, though, this probe is going to be annoying and block the hatchery, so Rogue will go take it at the horizontal location over here.
Going back to the point that you made about Rogue switching it up and going into the late game, I think he might have to do that here on Celestial Enclave. Of all of the maps where you're going to try and bust down your opponent, Celestial Enclave is perhaps the hardest.
Yep, it is.
Not just because of the distance between your base and their
There's
base.
no perhaps about it, State.
It feels a little bit longer than most other maps that we have in the pool, but also the natural expansion is on a high ground. You have a pocket expansion in your main base. It's kind of a half base, but it still is a base, right?
Yeah.
Which you could take if you want to be very defensive. And so it's not usually a map that we see games end particularly early on. And Rogue still can't just throw caution to the wind and go for the throat and try and make something happen in the early game here versus MaxPax. But as you said, he is a defensive master.
He really is, and yeah, it's so hard to regrow at the moment. Who knows what he's going to do?
So I do have to echo the sentiments. First thing, as always, I want some more conviction out of State. State is like such a knowledgeable like caster. Like once he's locked in, once he's like engrossed in the meta, and it does take some time for that to occur. But once that happens, like again, he's very knowledgeable at what he does, and very often he's always like you know, hedging whatever he says. He's like, oh, this is kind of like maybe one of the stronger like defensive maps in the map pool. Like this is maybe like that, Bappy. Have some conviction, Bappy. Yeah. What I will say is that, echoing what they said, this is the most defensive map in the map pool. This is where Protoss players are very favored to turtle up and to get into Sky Toss. Building up into the mid game, building up into a heavy splash damage style in towards Sky Toss is common on this map. And what is Rogue's plan to stop that from happening? Does Rogue go for an all-in? All-ins are weaker on this map as well. The 2, 3, and 4 base setup is very defensive, so we shouldn't be seeing an all-in. But what we can see is hyper greed out of Rogue to rush into Fast Hive, or we could see Spire play. That's a way to be active on the map and to be aggressive aside from just going for these ground-based pushes. So I'm leaning towards maybe Mutas or Fast Greed, Fast Hive. We'll see.
Rogue got that in just the nick of time.
That was milliseconds.
It was like frame perfect, man. That was beautiful by Rogue.
Yeah, interesting. I'm curious if they were both aware of the timings there. Probably MaxPax definitely is, and obviously Rogue as well as the second adept comes over.
Yeah, able to snipe one drone there. Creep Timber is going to get dropped now by Rogue. First Oracle is getting chrono boosted out here by MaxPax as Zergling speed is getting closer and closer to completion. I think there are enough lings here that, oh, he actually is going to allow that Shade to
does commit.
continue. And I think
one adept should go down.
At least should be going down, yeah, especially as Metabolic Boost comes through. Both these will get cleaned up here by Rogue. So in total, 2 adepts for 1 drone. No delay on the 3rd expansion here for Rogue at natural. I think Rogue's probably feeling pretty good about this, especially because losing those 2 adepts, now MaxPax likely has to keep the Oracle at home to defend the 3rd.
Yeah, very
Yeah, I just can't add anything to that. As they mentioned, as they just mentioned here, that was a big slip up from MaxPax. Losing those adepts means that his active aggression is delayed. It also means that his scouting is going to be delayed as well because the Oracle is stuck at home. He's stuck at home, stuck defending, limited vision, limited information, and Rogue, he might do something with this.
Now by MaxPax as he's adding in Twilight Council, second gateway as well. Another Oracle's
Ooh, that's an early council.
The baton, so to speak. First Oracle will go cross map to try and get some probe damage done. It does
Pylon
give a
goes
small
down.
window here for Rogue to at least snipe a pylon.
Not bad.
So he's finding the damage where
Pylon goes down early, Twilight Council. I don't see a Forge. If he throws down 3 or 2 more gateways, we're expecting Glaives.
It doesn't build HP fast enough. You have to go for the Evolution Chamber there if you want to save the drone. So maybe just Rogue just hot fingering going for the fastest possible structure.
I don't see a Forge, but I also don't see extra gateways. This could be Glaives or this could be Blink. It looks like Glaives.
I think he did somewhere, but
late Forge, never mind.
We'll go down. We see more gates being added here for MaxPax as well as the single Forge.
Should be Blink.
Going to be getting 1 upgrade at a time just for the moment. Lots of drones coming out for Rogue. Nothing crazy this game. It looks like we might get to see that macro game we've been looking for.
Got 2 more gates now coming in with Blink, so it'll be 4-gate Blink with a +1 Forge as MaxPax establishes that 3rd base, where it counts still relatively even here, actually dead even when I said that.
They didn't touch on it. So very quickly when it comes to the build, this is not a standard build out of MaxPax. MaxPax did go for an early Twilight Council. That's why you saw the Forge was late. It was delayed. The reasoning for this is because Blink is earlier than normal. This will allow MaxPax to be aggressive and to be active on the map earlier than normal with Blink Stalkers. So this is a much more aggressive variation from MaxPax. Obviously, the downside of this build, late +1. +1 and +2 as a byproduct is going to be delayed here for MaxPax, but the added advantage of being more active earlier with his Blink Stalkers.
We'll have to see what his plan is as the first Stalkers are warped in now.
Yeah, especially if Rogue decides he wants to play a Ling-based style here versus the Stalkers. It'll be tough to go all the way up into the top left corner here for MaxPax, and we'll see what he's going to get done. We do have Rogue, honestly,
usually when you go for early Blink like this, you want to pressure the 4th base. That's usually the goal. And MaxPax is headed for the 4th.
A couple more drones get squeezed out here by Zerg before he really begins to ramp production. This is actually going to be...
Now, he has to be careful because Blink isn't done yet. Blink is not done yet, but the Lings are across the map. They don't spot the Stalker move out.
He's already pushing up here in the
Now he
top
knows.
left. We were talking about how it's a bit dangerous, but he's feeling ambitious.
Yeah, indeed. Quite interestingly, Rogue didn't go for a quick Evo chamber in +1, which you often see with this build. We see the single Evo chamber coming now, but some Zergs get this as early as 4 minutes.
I see in the chat someone asking, does MaxPax have an advantage for coming from the winner's bracket? Yes. Because MaxPax comes in from the winner bracket, he only has to win this series. For Rogue to win this series, he has to win this best of 7 and then a best of 3 after. Basically, MaxPax has a life and Rogue doesn't. So MaxPax has to win 1 series, Rogue has to win 2.
He's adding in static defense and some photon cannons. He's getting +1 in charge before doing anything like taking a 4th base, as he's really respecting the threat of Rogue throughout this entire tournament. He's mostly been powerful in the early and the mid game, as MaxPax is actually going
Link's
to
in.
break now into the natural expansion. It's
Nice time of the
mostly
queen.
Lings and
The
Stalker's
stasis
going
goes
the
up.
stasis
Oh
trap.
my
So the Lings
God.
actually now forming basically.
Is that just a dead
wall
hatchery?
here for these Stalkers.
Oh my God.
No Hydralisks yet on the map.
MaxPax,
Or at least
calm
none here in
down.
the pocket expansion. I think MaxPax may be able to force this expansion
Can he
down.
kill the
Only
base?
one Hydralisk of DPS is not going to be enough. The transfuse
2 more
is
volleys.
trying to keep that hatchery
He
alive,
gets
but
it.
it will
Oh
finally
my
fall.
God.
For the price of what? One Stalker here, MaxPax takes that trade all day.
All day. But the good thing for Rogue is he still has the top left base, and the pocket one is still is a half base, as you mentioned earlier. So if you could choose one to lose, it would be that one, I guess. So.
Do you notice something? Rogue isn't droning. Rogue, he got up to 78 workers. To be fair, that is proper 4-base saturation. Rogue, he's supply block that will slow him down, but Rogue is going to be hyper aggressive, and we'll see if MaxPax can defend with Storm.
Templar Archives is done. We have more gateways.
So Rogue, MaxPax now he has to be focusing on his defense.
On this Nexus in the bottom right corner of the map, we do have a defensive warping coming in for MaxPax.
Looks like he'll force a cancel.
Yes, of these Zerglings is going to be just enough. Yep, that is the cancel.
Oracle's out of position. Rock's being knocked down.
Of those Lings, as Rogue is trying to find some damage somewhere. He's also going
Now,
for
bearing in mind that Rogue, he's choosing not to get up. Sorry, he's getting gases. Never mind. He's getting gases, so he's working towards Hive and working towards Lurkers. He's thinking about that next step.
MaxPax has been pretty much buttoned up on a 3-base economy. He hasn't really exploded the way you might expect him to in a typical PvZ.
Yeah, indeed. Almost catches the War
Prism gets
here.
away.
Gonna take some of its shields away, but good for him that he at least knows about it, can put units in position.
And remember, the soup is lying to you. Yes, Rogue is maxed. That is true. Rogue has a maxed army, but MaxPax has a more efficient composition here, so he can keep up defensively, especially with Storms.
Archon's coming over. The rest of the army needs to be there as well.
So remember, the soup is lying to you. We have the fleet beacon on the way. We spoke about this at the beginning of the game. This map does favor defensive play into Skytoss. And MaxPax is working on it.
Establishing that 4th base in the bottom right side of the map. So we'll find a couple of drones of damage, and the transition coming in from MaxPax now is going to be very gas intensive. You can see him preemptively taking the 2 gases in the bottom right side of the map before the Nexus is even done, because he's going into a fleet beacon. He wants to get a mothership. He wants to start trickling out these high-tier Stargate units in addition to everything else that he's got.
Yeah, Fleet Beacon just finishing up now. Infestation Pit on the way for Rogue.
Really nice split here from MaxPax, denying the Lings. Again, Rogue has been maxed for like 1-2 minutes, and he hasn't achieved anything with his army yet. But he's knocking down the rocks. Okay.
As he does take down these rocks, opens up another avenue of attack for himself.
Oh man, Rogue is going for a
He gets in.
huge timing attack right now, attacking
He's committing.
through the wall in the
MaxPax
natural
responds.
expansion, and then also getting caught by a stasis trap here, but there should be
Ooh,
enough
Storm
Lings
doesn't
and
connect.
Hydras
High Templar
to at least
exposed. He
take
gets
out
1,
this
2,
Archon.
4.
Immortal's also exposed here in the
4
front.
High Templar.
That Storm catching so many Hydralisks. Meanwhile, the natural expansion, the Lings trying to break through this small choke point between the Nexus and the pylon mothership about halfway
Rogue,
down.
can
It
he
seems
do
like
it?
MaxPax is stabilized
Can he
on
do
the
it?
low ground. But in the natural expansion, he's beginning to lose probes. More Warpins now coming in. MaxPax still a lot of energy left on these Templars.
The High Templar exposed once again.
Now those Hydras have to respect it.
High Templar goes out again. This has been a very messy defense from MaxPax. Very messy. Denies the mothership.
He does get it. It costs him quite a few units, but cutting the Protoss down to a 3-base economy here is nice. 200 Lings already falling in this game. And for me, the interesting thing is there was no Balians with this army. It was like a Ling Hydra attack, and now he's going into Hive.
So
going
that's
into
pretty standard,
Lurkers.
Ling Hydra.
He's got so many hatcheries on the map. The creep spread is starting to get out there. I'm starting to like Rogue's position here.
That was a good defense by MaxPax despite losing the natural expansion. The mothership restarts. Another
That was a messy defense. MaxPax, he can hold his own. He did lose a lot of High Templar in that defense, but the Prism gets across the map. We're harassing, we're distracting Rogue. MaxPax is buying time for
Now on
Skytoss.
the left side, MaxPax is everywhere, really taxing the multitask of Rogue, hitting the 3rd base, hitting the top left corner, dropping in the main base. The Warp Prism still alive between the main and the natural expansion, and this is buying MaxPax time to re-establish that base of the natural expansion, to finally finish that mothership, which is such a useful tool in PvZ, and get his first Tempest out.
Yeah, indeed. I'm so impressed by the way Rogue deflected all of those attacks, only losing just a few drones here is really impressive. The War Prism, though, warping it in a...
Bearing in mind, as State mentioned, like, this harass has not been about doing damage. If damage was done, that would be a bonus. It's all about distracting Rogue to buy more time. Now, Rogue, he's built up a heavy Hydra count, and there is a window. There's a window in time where Rogue has Lurkers, and if he can kill. He has a window where he has Lurkers before this critical mass of Skytoss, and Rogue has to kill here and now. We'll see if he can.
To get more damage done, make that 13 Lurkers. We have upgrades.
That's
also
a little
coming in,
lunkers.
such
Ooh,
as Adrenal.
massive storm.
Is now in the natural
Jesus.
expansion. Those Lings very low on HP. We'll need to pull back for now. As Rogue setting his eyes on trying to deny this 4th base. MaxPax, keep in mind, he still has the pocket expansion as an expansion opportunity here in the future, but he's just trying to hold the bases that he's got. And Rogue, with his huge lurker switch, is trying to just power his way through it. The problem is that MaxPax, he's already been working on the solution to those lurkers. It is Sky Toss, it is Tempest. He already has 4.
Like as State is stating here, no pun intended. But Rogue, he's on a timer, right? Like he had to hit with lurkers and kill before Sky Toss, but it's too late. Now there are 4 Tempests already. Rogue, he missed his timing. He missed it.
Yeah, this is kind of reminiscent of the last time they played, where they had that crazy base race. It was Ultralisks against that unkillable Sky Toss army, and Rogue was able to take it there. I do like that he's trying to play around the weakness of these Tempests, which is their movement. He's got his army split up into 2 groups. He was prodding each of the bases, see if there's any weakness, but MaxPax has defended very well so far. He's now got a 5th base online.
Now, to give Rogue credit, this has been a very tense, a very shaky kind of like mid to late game, but MaxPax survived. MaxPax, he's stabilizing. He's stabilizing. MaxPax, he's close to maxing out. As we mentioned, Rogue has had like a 30, 40, 50 supply lead this entire time. That lead is now dissipating, and that means that Rogue is falling behind when it comes to the quality, when it comes to the size of the army, when it comes to the strength of the main forces. And Rogue has to start to switch into Corruptor, into Skyzerg, into a different kind of composition.
Enough minerals, enough Vespene gas to fully flesh out his army. And this is a powerful army we're building. We're adding in additional robotics facilities. That might be the 2nd or the 3rd one. As we have another engagement now coming in. Mothership.
Lurkers are exposed.
No
oh
here for Rogue. He's
He gets 3.
Lose as many lurkers in the process.
Yeah, gonna need some overseers with that army.
That was a lot of lurkers going down, and now we have the Corruptor transition for Rogue.
Starting to transition into Corruptors to finally deal with these air units head on. Obviously, Corruptors are amazing against Tempests if they get on top of them without being rained on by the storms. So he might try and find a good engagement here. Going into some melee upgrades just to support those Ultralisks a bit more, as well as the Kindness plating here. +1 air attack. Tons of upgrades on the field for both sides.
And the army that MaxPax is building is going to be incredible. It is so high immortal. We're even adding carriers right now for that.
He's building up a death pool of an army. Like this is the army built to A move. Like that's MaxPax. He's almost there.
If I were to put myself into Rogue's position, I'm not sure, frankly, what I could possibly.
And again, you saw like how close these fights have been with Rogue with having like a 40 supply lead, but now we're evening things up, and Rogue, he has to be careful. He's going for the dive. The storms.
Instead, Rogue just going to dive on with pure brute force. The Corruptors trying
getting
to
on top of the
damage.
Tempest.
They're able to get the pounce on these Tempests, focus firing them down. Still 4 Tempests left. Mothership
look at the
anchoring
batteries
right
they
side of this
pop up.
engagement. Somehow almost every
cloak,
single Tempest
no detection.
is equally damaged.
Oh my
At
God.
half HP. I think only 1 or 2 in total get taken down before the Mothership saves the day.
That's
and
insane.
Rogue just traded out so many Corruptors just for hull damage.
Yeah, that's not the trade you're looking for there.
1
As
Tempest.
His ground army still looks.
That was
strong, but he's
11
basically a
Corruptors
full
for 1
reset of
Tempest, by the way.
count.
That's
Now trying to
crazy.
remake them. He doesn't have a healthy hatch count.
Again, that was brutal. So much for a single Tempest. Again, shout out to the shield batteries. Also, Rogue wasn't target. He wasn't target firing. Like he was not target firing. So that's also a bit on Rogue. He was on A move.
Cannons will call full very quickly though. And right now, MaxPax. Looks like he's just deciding if he's going to go over here. He should. He's going to take this angle.
Oh,
not
the
go
lurkers
past
are
his base
exposed.
He doesn't want to let Rogue escape.
The
He wants to catch
lurkers.
every single one of these lurkers. This is
Get
a
outta
very
here.
expensive army. Rogue repositioning, not willing to fully evacuate.
He may just lose everything here.
Instead, inching forward with a couple of lurkers. There isn't any anti-air yet.
He's going
here
in? Wait,
for
what?
Rogue. Where are the Corruptors?
He's crazy.
Coming in now. Yes, finally the Corruptors coming in. There are Archons under the Tempest, though. And with that splash damage, Rogue realizes he cannot take.
And Max, like, he's snowballing out of control. He's snowballing out of control. He's killing every single lurker. A couple of High Templar do rally in.
Damage to Rogue's army while losing nothing.
Yeah, insanely good fight there for MaxPax. Did lose 4 High Templar at the end, but his air army is just unbeatable right now. These Corruptors cannot get the job done. Like you say, each time he goes in, he's hitting various targets, weakening a lot of them, but just they're not falling.
One of the worst parts about these trades from Rogue 2 is that the units that he's killing, it's typically the gateway units that are accompanying this army, and they're getting replaced by Immortals, by Carriers, by Tempest, by even more efficient units, as MaxPax now
What State is getting at is that over time, MaxPax, he's perfecting his army. Like, it's crazy, but as the game is going on longer and longer, Max's army is getting better. Like, it's improving over time.
Loses economy, so he has to split off some units. That allows
So you think this is brutal? I mean, it's going to get even worse. It's gonna
detection.
Ah.
Here comes the rest of the Zerg army around the
Corruptors,
bottom.
they
It's kind of
flank.
fragmented.
He tries massive storms.
The Corruptors trying to commit huge
Archon's out of
storms on
position.
those. The mothership may go down here if he focuses at one air unit.
There's a
going
cloak.
down.
Every
But it just
Corruptor
doesn't look like
falls.
the anti-air is here for Rogue.
Oh, is that a recall coming in from MaxPax for half of the army to behind the mothership? Don't see that every day. As the Archon coverage wasn't enough there for the Corruptors, but the storms were so big.
The carrier just blinked back, Bappy. That's what just happened. He blinked back, and with that he overwhelms.
A little bit too much, Sturgeon, and this is simply the perfect Protoss army. Rogue right now, less than 100 supply. You can see he has a little bit of a bank. You might be wondering what options he has to spend that money on to try and find a solution, but I don't think there is one.
No, this army is about as efficient as you can get. Zealots now in the middle lines.
GG.
Finally, GG is called. MaxPax goes up 3-0 in this series, and he is on tournament point here.
MaxPax is just on a tear right now.
He's playing so good, dude.
As good as Rogue.
GG. GG, well played. Again, this game was kind of decided the moment that Rogue failed to kill with his lurkers, basically when the 4 Tempests arrived. So winding it back here, Rogue was hyper-aggressive. He was forced to be aggressive as well because, remember, he lost his 4th base, right? He lost his pocket expansion to the Blink Stalkers, so Rogue, he had to be aggressive. He went for a big Ling Hydra all-in, and it was quite tense. It was not an easy hold. Like, I obviously credit where credit is due, right? It was not an easy defense there for MaxPax. It was a very messy defense. That was kind of like how we were phrasing it. Where MaxPax, he lost a lot of High Templar. He was like storming once, and then High Templar were dying time and time again. And it was a very shaky defense there for MaxPax, but he did hold. I'm referring to the moment where the rocks got knocked down. We had the Lings flooding in towards the natural. We had the Roach Hydra towards the 3rd base. We had that kind of back and forth. But the moments that MaxPax held, what was he doing? Behind it, he was building up towards Skytoss, Fleet Beacon, 2 more Stargates into Tempest production. We did see a lurker timing, and we did try to emphasize that, hey, there's a window. There's a window in time after the failed all-in that Rogue could try to hit with lurkers and could try to kill. Remember that lurkers were delayed this game because he delayed his tech, he delayed his gases, he delayed his infestation, his hive, and his lurkers for the initial Ling Hydra all-in. So his tech was late because of the failed Hydra all-in. Then he got into it, but it was too late at that point, right? He built up all his lurkers, he pushed across the map, they were already Tempest ready, and then MaxPax held, right? MaxPax, he was just perfecting his army over time. And to re-emphasize, this is a unique situation for Celestial Enclave because this is the most defensive map in the map pool. We spoke about this at the beginning of this game, how this is the map where it's easier to tech up into Skytoss, and MaxPax did it. And here we go, we're getting into our next game.
Rogue tournament life on the line. MaxPax just 1 game away from closing this whole thing out and being our Season 4 champion.
MaxPax on fire here in RSL season.
So winding it back, one of the reasons why Celestial is so good for Skytoss is because of how secure your natural, your 3rd, your 4th are in comparison to other maps. Here we're loading into the Old Republic. This has a much more open 3rd and 4th base. If Rogue were to go for a big 3 base all-in similar to last game, then it would be more successful here. It should be more successful on the Old Republic, so we should be seeing a different style out of MaxPax to compensate for that.
Not early enough to block the hatchery this time, which was quite annoying for Rogue to deal with in the last game. He will get that down at his natural.
Yeah, and I imagine what we're going to see for MaxPax, although I should say when you're up 3-0, you can really do anything that you want to do.
Possibility of this being a clean sweep win for MaxPax. I mean, MaxPax was the favorite player coming into this. I was hoping for it to be a back and forth. Obviously, there's a high chance it's a 4-0, but I want to see a game 5. I want to see a game 6. Very quickly, as we mentioned, I do like Rogue's chances here, though, to build up to a 3-base economy. 3-base all-ins hit different on the Old Republic, right? They do hit different. So that's why I'm curious, is MaxPax going to go Glaives? Is he going to go Glaive at Eps? Is he going to go early Blink? What does MaxPax go for to try to compensate for how aggressive Zerg players can be on the Old Republic?
And try something cheeky, but I agree. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. MaxPax knows how to navigate these long macro games, and that's probably one of his strengths as a player. So I would not be surprised to see that at all. Cybercore is on the way. We'll have to see what the choice of tech is for MaxPax. Probably going to be a Stargate here momentarily.
Yeah, but as Rogue, you also can't afford to make that assumption because MaxPax has 4 maps to play with.
Yeah.
You know, this is kind of situation where a player like, if you were a real throwback, I am MVP, he would just be going for proxy barracks in this situation. I mean, Maru does the same thing today, right?
Oh,
If he's
dude,
in a
I
best of
love
7,
MVPs so
if he's up in the
much.
series, he will just gamble because I mean, you can flip a coin. You only got to win one time, right?
Right.
You have all these extra lives left here, up 3-0 in a best of 7. So for Rogue, if he wants to try and play a macro game, if he doesn't want to go for relentless aggression the way that he did earlier on in the series, he has to, you know, really button up on everything because MaxPax can just do the most
Oh my
wild
God, wait, what?
strategies, and Rogue has a responsibility of defending
Rogue
it,
going for a
dealing with it,
very
being
aggressive
out of the
third.
tournament.
Yeah, he definitely has that leeway.
That's
to
crazy.
play with. He is forced to take the forward base here as the normal third was blocked by a probe. The Adept shades in, sees a few lings, will not commit.
So,
As he waits for
very
his-
quickly here, this forward third base means that Rogue has better creep spread. He's going to have faster creep spread across the map. This might be indicative of an all-in. We don't want to, you know, extrapolate from this, and we don't want to get, you know, too lost in what is going on here. You don't want to be mind-gamed, of course, as, you know, MaxPax. But this does allow for the possibility of a very strong all-in because of the boosted creep spread across the map. That is now potentially available here for Rogue.
Even though he wasn't able to trade out these Adepts for any drone damage, he can now use these to anchor the defense at the third base and be a little bit more aggressive with that first Oracle.
Yeah, he wasn't able to send those across the map last time because he traded them out, as you mentioned. So this time we'll have that opportunity as they actually do need to be in position, though. Right now there's nothing here at the third except a probe and a pylon.
Depth's on at home to
This
defend.
is actually a very bold move by MaxPax. He's moving out with both Adepts right now. They're shading into
Nice
the natural
counterattack.
expansion. Oracle joining as well. So Rogue's going to try and find some damage here at the third base, but his Lings are out of position. 8 more Lings are in production, about halfway done. No Spore Crawler yet, so the focus fire from the Queens is
Drones are going to go
important. He's
down,
able
but what
to
about the defenses back at home? Now
carry
there's the
away
Oracle.
that Oracle. Only 3 drones falling thus far. Honestly, considering
4.
both Adepts and the Oracle dived on that hatchery before the Spore Crawler is done, losing 4 drones, that's pretty good here for Rogue.
Yeah, indeed, and he got a pylon across the other side of the map. This Oracle is also bruised, has to be careful when it does go in. Getting solo on HP now. And yeah,
I'm gonna push back against what was just said.
Very similar to the
State is saying, oh, he only lost 4 drones, you know, that's pretty good. It's like, I mean, this is better from, I mean, MaxPax lost a pylon, I guess. Right? He lost a pylon, true, so there was some damage dealt, but overall, I'm pretty sure MaxPax is happy with his position here. Behind this, going for his own Twilight Council in the Forge. Once again, earlier Council, looks like earlier Blink. If you're curious about the builds, MaxPax is the same build he went for on Celestial. So last game, same build, 2 games in a row.
It seemed quite late last game, honestly. I was a bit surprised by that, but if you go for these builds with a lot of links, you do want to get that melee upgrade online nice and quickly. So you
this is a late Eva chamber, which means there's a high chance it might be +1 range.
Rogue actually going for a macro hatch while taking
never
his
mind.
4th base, so he will soon have 5 hatcheries, and this tells me that Rogue wants all of the larvae.
He does.
He
Oh,
wants
dude.
to make a ton of
Is this Ling
Zerglings,
into
and
Ultra?
If he's going to play this style, I wouldn't even mind him throwing down a later 2nd evolution chamber just to try and prevent Zealots being warped in with +1 from 2-shotting his Zerglings.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. He's only on 3 gas right now, so he's going to have a ton of minerals to pump into these Ling numbers. Basically, he just has enough gas to continue his tech and upgrades.
So,
And he's going to be spending
as they're
all the
alluding to,
minerals
because of the high
on
hatchery count, this screams Ling Ultra. Like Ling Opener into Mass Ultra into Hive Tech. We'll see if he can get there, though.
Where he just had like an insane Ling count and overrun all the army of Hero in that series.
24 more Lings right now in production. 68 drones.
And I believe
in total, so
MaxPax
the
doesn't
economy of
know.
Rogue is very healthy. He's going to be able to transfer a lot of drones down to that 4th base once it is done. And I'm expecting nothing but Lings from here on out for the foreseeable future, as he wants to spend all of that larva on aggression. You're going for Lings and Banelings with +1 melee attack. The big timing window is going to be when +1 melee is done and Baneling speed is done. But even before then, with 43 Lings, you can try and make some magic happen.
Yeah, you got to be so careful as MaxPax here. These Stalkers
No,
put
not
huge
again!
stasis
Oh
trap.
my God,
Catches
the
about
Queens
half
are
the Lings. The rest
exposed.
of them, the flank, there's not even enough there to trap these Stalkers, so we'll have to wait until the stasis trap runs out here.
28 more Lings.
Okay, it's okay, it's okay. He can buy time. He can buy time.
Halfway done. Rogue needs
Look at
to
the
keep
production
his
tab, by the way.
hatchery alive.
Infestation
They're
bit.
not gonna
5
go
tech.
for
He's
it.
going for the Hive. He's going for the Ultras.
Round, MaxPax wisely is going to blink
Okay,
back.
backs
He
off.
does not want these Lings that were trapped in a stasis to form a full surround on his army. He does not want to get sandwiched by those 2 forces. There's another stasis trap.
Nice
to catch.
bait this time.
6 more Zerglings. I think Rogue should have enough. 75
Yeah,
lanes
he
and
baits
dives
out the
in right now.
station traps, comes over this round, baits out another.
Got a MaxPax, but man,
This time he's baiting.
the Oracles, there are just so many of them.
Yeah, there's so many. Rogue's doing a good job of setting them off with a small amount of links. I'm not sure if he knows there's one more there, though. And it gets a lot of links once more. There's still so many more remaining.
Another goes off.
They're going to trap all these Stalkers, start to go to work on them. But the Oracles actually do a crazy amount of damage to these lings. Stalkers now in pursuit, going to kite to the best that they can, but there's actually just too many Stalkers here. The Lings can't get it done.
Yeah, Lings, they get shut
Too many
down.
Lings get caught in those stasis traps. I mean, that must be, what, 24 plus Lings here for Rogue? If he was able to just pop stasis with 1 or 2 Lings, I think we would have a lot of dead Stalkers right now, but instead, MaxPax, he's being rewarded for spending the majority of his Oracle energy right now on stasis traps here in the center, and Rogue's gonna get one more shot.
Not
There is
again, not
another
again.
Stasis trap here. You can see him trying
Okay,
to
gets
defuse
baited.
it. Finally, he is,
Whew.
and now he's able to get a surround on a lot of these
Better
Stalkers.
surround for
Traps
Rogue.
that will blink back, but that means there's a lot of service area.
Better
for those things to
surround.
work with.
Stalkers
Keep
are
in mind,
going
they have
down. This is a
+1
big
ground
win.
weapons, but at this point, the Stalkers, they've snowballed
It's
so
too late.
hard, Sturgeon.
It's
Yeah,
too
there's
late.
just so many remaining here.
158
Lings going down by the 8-minute mark.
Crazy
This is absolutely
value.
insane efficiency coming out of MaxPax.
And now we have Charge Zelt reinforcing with +1 ground
Also, a
weapons.
big shout out to
That will
Luis
allow them to
GGG in the chat.
continue to
Gab,
shut
thank you so much. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. We're here in the grand finals of RSL, and Rogue is struggling to survive.
Now we see the Banelings morphing in. Baneling speed almost done, but this hatchery is getting quite low, down to half HP. He can't wait too long to get ready here.
The momentum behind MaxPax is huge right now. These trades have been unbelievably efficient, far more efficient than they have any right to be, with pure Blink Stalker and 3 Oracles versus a +1 Ling army with 5
Fun fact,
hatcheries
MaxPax is
on
banking, by the way. Like, he's been missing some warp ins, he's been missing rotations. Another stasis!
So many Lings! These stasis traps have been Rogue's Achilles heel in the game for.
There's just such an insane amount of Lings. Look how many that is drawn from your army. And look what MaxPax is doing behind this. He's gone for 5 bases. He's added in Archons. This army will counter mass Ling Bane perfectly if he gets high Archon numbers. Here we go, though. Rogue gonna try once more. Another
They
stasis
just
trap goes
keep
down.
connecting.
He does have Bane
Oh,
into the mix
no.
now. Some big connections could change things here.
Okay.
If Rogue can wait until he has...
So MaxPax, he's backing off. He's giving Rogue map control. At the same time, he's getting ready for a Zealot run by on the right-hand side. The Archons are amassing. The Archons are going to be hyper efficient here against Ling Bane.
Do well, but everything else is going to struggle a little bit. But the problem is, Rogue, he's been investing everything into just surviving for a very long time. His drone count hasn't increased at all. The extra bases he's
Yeah, the
taken,
drone count is
they're
low.
mostly to allow his
Rogue is
drones
behind
to
economically.
resaturate after the main base and the natural
He's just been too
expansion starts to
inefficient.
mine out. And now MaxPax has an army that is just designed to kill Zerglings. There are 4 Archons here. Another
Banelings, they
stasis
do
trap catches a
nothing.
ton of
Another
Lings. The surround coming
stasis.
through from Rogue. This might be enough to clean up most of the Stalkers, but can he get through those Archons? He
GG.
cannot. Rogue knows it. GG is called, and MaxPax is going to win RSL Season 4 with a 4-0.
What a dominance, just what a dominant series from MaxPax. Showing aggression, showing defense. He's just in such good form right now. Rogue couldn't do it.
GG, well played. Rogue was coming, sorry, MaxPax was coming in as the favorite player here, but even then I expected to have a little bit more of a back and forth. As I mentioned before, I didn't get to see Rogue series versus MaxPax in the group stage. I didn't get to experience what happened in those games, but here at MaxPax, he was just in the driver's seat the entire series. What I love about this series out of MaxPax is that he did mix up aggression and macro play. He macroed once on Celestial Enclave. Outside of that, he was able to keep up with the all-ins and even out-aggress his opponent with Glaive Adepts in game 1 and here early Blink aggression in game number 4. But it wasn't just about the build, it was about the micro, the execution. It came down to the stasis traps. We had so many stasis traps punishing the Mass Ling out of Rogue. Rogue's style here, going Mass Ling into Mass Ling Ultra, is dependent on gaining map control, on zoning away the army, catching out all the Stalkers, and giving you time to drone up to 80 workers, take your gases, and then tech into Ultras. But he could not deal with those Stalkers at all. Every time he attempted, he was just being shut down time and time again by the mass stasis trap. So he was being hyper inefficient. As you saw, he lost 158 Lings for 11 Stalkers. That's how efficient MaxPax was being. 11 Stalkers for over 150 Lings. It was insane just how well MaxPax was trading and how much difficulty Rogue was having in the middle of the map, trying to surround, trying to collapse on those Stalkers. With that, he stumbled his way into the mid game. He had a low economy. He had, because that he couldn't afford his high tech, he couldn't afford his ultra tech. He was trying to work in that direction, but he just had no money for it. And with that, GG. GG, well played. With that, congratulations here to MaxPax. He will Steel40. He will be our champion this season. Meanwhile, we have our schedule for the next season.
Back with the RSL. It's going to be
April
every
20th.
single weekend. We're going to have an early start on the finals weekend to deliver all that exciting action for you. And I'm happy to keep the ball rolling, man. It's been a blast coming back here for RSL Season 4 and to be going into RSL Season 5 in just a couple of weeks. I love it.
Yeah, let's keep it going, keep the energy moving. I can't wait to see more awesome StarCraft action. Look how pretty that graphic is. Just 5 weekends of pure StarCraft, man.
Yeah, it's clean. I love to see it.
So,
And
as
a big
Odo,
shout out again to
as I
Archon
was mentioning,
Studio.
oh,
They are
Jesus.
making the official
as I was mentioning,
StarCraft
April 20th is going to be the first set of qualifiers. We will be casting the qualifiers here on the channel. No co-streaming for the qualifiers. We'll just be in the games. We'll be in the games. We'll be there, as always, for the qualifiers for the Americas and for the Korean qualifier. Obviously, the top players are going to be invited into next season. And really cool to see that already Season 5 of RSL is announced. They've announced Season 5, so we have the next season of RSL around the corner. Non-stop StarCraft here on the channel. We'll be there to cover it once again. We do co-stream the playoffs. We don't co-stream the group stage. We don't have time to. There's just so much other StarCraft matches going on. We got too much to cast, so we won't be covering the group stage, but the playoffs, we got you. We do have you. But again, a bit of a shorter broadcast, fun fact. It was 4.5 hours. I say short broadcast. I was expecting it to be like around 4 hours, around 4-hour cast for our 3 series. So yeah, we're about on time here, about on time. Catching up.
There's all kinds of benefits. There's also just an option to sign up for free if you want to get emails from us.
Kudos to Rogue for making it this far. Just catching up with the chat. For making it this far, though, only Rogue in the back and he made it to the finals. Yeah, to be honest, I expected Rogue to go down in the first round. Like I had no faith in Rogue. But Rogue, he was being, as we mentioned in his series against Kure and against Maru, he was being hyper cheesy, hyper aggressive, and he was in a way kind of like out strategizing his opponents. So it was really fun. It was really fun to see Rogue, pop off. Very little standard macro play, just non-stop aggression, and hey, he went far. He went all the way to the finals with that kind of style before meeting a brick wall. Before meeting the brick wall that is MaxPax. But it was exciting to see nonetheless, and again, good for representation purposes, right? Like, I think I expected that for there to be no Zerg in the top 6 or the top 8, but we had one go all the way to the finals. True, all the way. It's catching up. More StarCraft. True. Only 4 hours. But yeah, with that, GG well played. With that, we're going to be wrapping up here for the time being. Meanwhile, I was just live earlier. If you missed it, I was just live with the TLMC 22 ladder, the judging kind of ladder, first impressions. So if you're interested, I did have the VOD available on my personal channel. I'm probably going to be going through some more maps tonight. So basically, for those who are unaware, let's move on from this as we are wrapping up. For those who are unaware, I was one of the TLMC 22 judges. Sorry, I was one of the 21 judges last season. I say 21, like TLMC 21. I think there were like 5 judges in total. I was one of them last season, and I was brought on to be a judge this season as well, and there are a bunch of maps. There are less maps than last time. True. There are less maps than previously. I think there's around 65 maps, whereas last season it was like 90 maps, so we do have less to work through, which does give us a little bit more time to spend on each map. And I do have a week. I've got a week to go through all the maps and to gather my thoughts, to give feedback, and to rank them as well. So it's going to be a pretty intense process. Because of that, we have changed our schedule. Actually, sorry, you can actually see it on the bracket, right? Is it updated? The schedule graphic? It is not. So never mind. Our schedule graphic isn't quite updated. But so I'm going to be spending time doing that. Last time I streamed on my personal channel. This time I'm going to be streaming here on the CranKy Ducklings. So currently we have a TLMC judging stream for the 7th. For this Tuesday, the 7th of April, and also for the 10th of April as well. So 7th and 10th, we should be live going through the maps. I'm going to be going through them ahead of time, and basically those 2 streams are going to be like summary streams. Going through them, you can hear my thought process, you can hear kind of like my criteria, you can kind of get an idea as to the context as to, what I'm looking for, what I'm not looking for, how I'm judging certain maps. You can have a look at my biases as well, in regards to, what I believe is like should be and shouldn't be available, like when it comes to like what a ladder map entails or what a map entails. So you can kind of listen through all that if you're interested in that sort of thing. Again, that'll be on the 7th and 10th. The deadline is the 11th. So I've got until the 11th of April to wrap up, to finalize, and to submit all of our rankings and all of our notes and all of our feedback. So it's going to be an intense week. Because of that, we are going to be casting a little bit less. As I just mentioned, we won't be having a cast on, instead of having a cast on the 7th and 10th, we're doing some TLMC judging instead. So we have kind of like restructured and rescheduled a little bit to be able to commit and to have those streams. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Again, if you're curious about my first impression stream, I just had one. I went through all the rush maps. I had like 2 hours, like 2 hours to go through it. I went through all the rush maps and I went through like a couple of macro maps. There's still a lot to go through. I'm going to like go through them all first initially to get an idea, and then I'll go through it again and take notes and have a better like grasp on the maps themselves. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Going to be a lot of fun. I do look forward to it. I will be changing my approach compared to last time. Last time, I will say that I was very strict or very harsh in certain aspects. But I don't think that really worked too well considering how other judges were approaching the TLMC. So for those that are curious, basically you give feedback. I gave feedback for everything. But you rate a map between 1 and 5. And 5 is meant to be, at least based on the guidelines, 5 is meant to be like a perfect map. Like nothing is wrong with it. Like you can just it's perfect, and you just send it in. And for every map, there was always a bit of feedback. There was always something that could be adjusted. So I didn't give out a single 5. Meanwhile, the other judges, they were like setting up 5s all over the place. And I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize until the very end, of course, when everything was revealed. And I was like, oh my god, because of that, my ratings didn't have as much impact because I was a lot more reserved. And a lot more critical, and because of that, yeah, I feel like my scores didn't have as much impact as others when it came to like pushing forward certain maps. So I'm going to be like approaching a different kind of, I'm going to be adjusting my approach. I'm probably going to, when I'm done kind of looking at all the maps and rating all the maps and giving feedback and stuff, I'm probably just going to like internally, like, or I'm probably going to like figure out like a top 5, like which maps are probably the best, and then give those 5s, right? Like I'll probably like pick like maybe like top 2 rush maps, top 2 macro maps, top 2 like dynamic maps and standard maps. Then I'll probably give those 5s, just like put them up there. Even if there's like something that can be changed or improved upon, like I'll probably make that approach instead. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's a learning process. I'm still very new to it, but we'll see. The world where only 0 and 5s are meaningful scores. True. I was trying to give a little bit more nuance to it and stuff, but it's all good. Just send it. This time give 1s and 2s. No, I did, to be honest, I gave a lot of 1s and 2s. But I didn't give a lot of 5s, right? Like I gave like mainly like 1, 2s and a couple of 3s and 4s. I gave mainly like 3s and 4s, and for like maps that were awful, like I was more than happy to give out 1s and 2s. But I was very, very strict with any kind of 5s, and I feel like that was maybe the wrong approach, But it's all good. So again, we'll be doing some TLMC judging streams a little bit later on in the week. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Our next broadcast should be tomorrow. Should be the Wardy TV Monday. That'll be in around 24 hours. Hey, 24 hours time, we'll be live with the Wardy TV Monday. I might do an earlier stream than that. We'll see. I might do an earlier stream going through some of the other TLMC maps. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, something else that's happening on later tonight, which is not on this channel, but we are working on, is the Euthermal 2v2 circuit. The Euthermal 2v2 circuit, that is going to be in around 3 hours. In around 3 hours time, 2 hours time is going to be the Euthermal circuit. We don't cast that, but we do admin it. Like we run it. Like when I say we, I mean myself and Kuro, the CranKy Ducklings. We do run the event. Euthermal, he plays it, he casts it. We run it from behind the scenes. That is in 2 hours. So I'm going to go freshen up and get ready for that. As that is going to be later on. Again, his 2v2 circuit is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Seeing all the best players in the world face off in 2v2. It's a blast. It is a blast. So do look forward to it. It'll be later tonight. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time for the next season of RSL. We'll see you guys later on tonight for your Thermals 2v2 circuits, or we'll see you tomorrow for the Wardy TV Monday, or when it comes to some of the other broadcasts that we have, Pegastar Cups, Kung Fu Cup, TLMC streams, Tuna Cup as well, the Pondcast, plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft this week. There's a lot going on, as always, here on the CranKy Ducklings. Hope you had a great time. A little bit unfortunate that the finals are so one-sided, but it happens, and it happens. Thankfully, we had some Zerg representation, and hopefully the next season is a little bit closer when it comes to a lot of those games. And hey, maybe even a new map pool next season as well. True. New map pool on the horizon. With that, thanks for watching. Thanks for support. If you want to support us, you can do so via following us on all the socials, _socials in the chat. We do stream on YouTube at the same time, and if you see something that you like, if you're interested in like a TLMC, like a Team Liquid map contest, map review stream or judging stream, and if you miss it live, check out the VOD. Check out the VOD over on YouTube. It'll all be over on our YouTube channel, so do check it out there when it's available. Otherwise, see you guys next time. Ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego. See you next time. GG.